All right, greetings everyone. This is Staying in the Light Radio. We're gonna keep up this series of the topic we're working on is you know staying in your right mind, getting your mind back because everything is set up for us to lose our minds. So we have these broadcasts, and I know y'all been looking for me, but I've been busy doing research. That's what I do, and it's very simple. What's going on? It's really simple. It's evil, but it's not hard to understand. I can watch movies and I can get a lot out of them, but I got to do a mental trick in my brain, in my mind. I got to flip it. The characters they have on the bottom usually should be on top. The characters on top should be on the bottom. Color change, all that. I flip in my mind. So that's what this government has done. That's what this world has done. Everything is flipped upside down because if you look in the government manuals, I'm continuing my topic I talked about before about the government styles manual identification of white means the people of North Africa. They're not white people. But the reason why they was there was a status symbol because the original people at that time wore white. They wore white clothing, and they was the rulers. They owned everything. That's how you can tell the owners because they were white. So when the colonial powers, after they chased the Moors out of Spain and everything was turned upside down, they had nothing to they had no history to base their rule on. So they say, well, if we get these Slavic people and make them the white people, that can be a switcheroo because their skin being closer to pale, we just call them the pale skin, the white people. Therefore, we will continue to rule. You see, they'll take the rulership under colorable titles. All these titles they have is colorable, meaning that it's under color of law. It's not real. Just like that's why I have so much uh, talk about calling yourself black, brown. These are colorable titles, labels. They're not real. They keep you out of the status of being a human being, really. That's why they can treat you any kind of way because you don't even see yourself as a person, with an ancestry, a country, belonging to a land. That's what people do. People belong to places. And until they invented this race thing in Europe, you was all identified by where you come from. That's what it's supposed to be. So all this was done to make a underclass, a whole people to be service underlings. The people who's ruling on top, we're gonna make sure they rule at the bottom. Put them on the bottom now. They'll never rule. How are we gonna do that for generations? Because they're so gifted, they're gonna eventually come on top. They say the queen always rises to the top. We're gonna make sure they don't rise because we're gonna rob them of everything. Their identity of who they are, their language. This is what the Trail of Tears was about. It was killing all the people who were still hanging on to who the old ways, speaking the language, knowing the Arabic, dressing, the clothing. This was the ethnic cleansing they called it. This was getting rid of all those people who had this knowledge to make sure they do not pass it on to their ancestors, to their children. So I was on the last call I was on. Somebody asked me, he said, we, the older generation, have failed the younger generation because we didn't pass on the knowledge. I got an addition to what I said. I did say it's true, but let me add on to that. We have been living through a reconstruction. Everything is being reconstructed. Give you one example: music. I grew up with rock music. It was a high vibratory music that was all about love. That's why we, those so-called boomers, we're a pretty chilled out group. You don't see us in a lot of criminal activities because we grew up with love songs. But that was change. That was change. Every generation, things are changed. So how can we pass on something when it's no longer in effect? They've changed the clock, the time zone, so to speak. So you can't pass on something that doesn't exist anymore. You know, it's impossible. You're in a different time frame. You can't pass on what happened 30 years ago. Just try to pass on some knowledge that, you know, if I was telling my niece, if I say, look, you can't wear those type of dresses because that's not what we wore 30 years ago. That's not what they wore. They wore long dresses. She said, you lost your mind. I can dress whatever I want to dress. You see, you can't go back and teach people things that they've been miseducated, mistaught. Hey, what's going on? Anybody has some questions for me? If you've been here listening for a while, if you just come in, you don't know what's going on. Go back and listen to the recording. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna leave it right there. Greetings to everyone. Until next time, stay in the light, shine it bright. Don't let nobody put you in darkness. Okay?